Hey, welcome back, Blade fans. OG Blade Reviews with you once again. And here is another review that probably isn't ideal for a tabletop. Should have done this out in the woods somewhere and maybe even given you some test cutting. But you know what? Plenty of guys out there doing some really excellent test cutting. Donnie B all day and Choir Boys and all kinds. I've watched about 5 of them on this particular knife, and I got this because I was looking for this particular style blade from Work Tough Gear, and I'm gonna just put this aside for a second and then show you all the goodies that came in the bag. I'm not going to spend too long on it though. You get a beer snuggly there, and you get a packet with a frog style mount for the sheath, lots of screws and things you need, and a really nice microfiber cloth, and some paracord for a lanyard. I mean, Vic Lynn's company, Work Tough Gear, they pretty much set you up to use the knife about any way you're going to use it. Well, it's we got some room on the table, you know, more than I expected. Let's take a look at this. I've been waiting for these for a while, and you know, you got to kind of grab them when they're available. This is, drum roll please, the Atayal or Atayal. It is a Work Tough Gear design that pays homage to the knife of the indigenous people of Taiwan, formerly known as Formosa, off the coast of China, but they don't refer to themselves as certainly not mainland Chinese. And we'll get into that whole story another time. I'm not going to get into politics, but company is owned by Vic Lynn. He comes up with some absolutely fantastic designs, stellar knives. This is an SK85. Their typical steel these days is K329. This is a little less stain resistant. It's still a wonderful tough steel. It is a double hardened, according to their info on their website. This particular one came from none other than White Mountain Knives. And this is in the jungle camo, believe they call that. And it is in the apocalyptic finish. And it does have a choil. You know, you can get these with and without the choil. We had a couple little faux pas with ordering from Work Tough Gear. I'm sorry, from White Mountain Knives. The reason I don't order directly from Work Tough Gear is that the tariffs have taken effect, and you're going to pay a pretty penny on import charges if you order directly from Work Tough Gear, which I had been doing, which was amazing. I got the knife in like 3 days from Taiwan to the east coast of the U.S. Anyway, this is the flavor I ended up with. You can get it with or without the choil. You can get it with a satin finish. You can get it with a blackened finish, and you can get it in this apocalyptic, which I think looks kind of cool. My original intent was to get it in the apocalyptic with the zombie green handle. I thought that would be kind of appropriate. But this is what I got. Same knife, different cosmetics. What are you going to do? It is just so nice and light for a knife this size. It's got almost a 9-inch blade. Yes, the one that's getting all the attention these days is the XL version, and that has a 12-inch blade. It's closer to a small machete or a sword, really. I didn't see any of those available even at DLT Trading, which carries a lot of the Work Tough Gear knives. But now that White Mountain is beginning to carry these, I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to that website. Really don't know how much the tariffs are affecting the end price to customers from White Mountain and other places, but I'm sure it's factoring in to some degree. If you're not paying the whole thing, you're probably paying part of it. Take a look at this. Now, I've got a lot of Work Tough Gear knives, probably half a dozen or so. And what they began doing is putting this adjustment screw on here, because a lot of them are kind of tough to get out of the case, and a lot of them, if you try to push off, you actually end up pinching your finger in that void there. So it spreads apart and then it grabs your finger. So this is great. That's similar to one I've seen on TKL knives and other knives, where it's basically adjustable. So you can turn the screw there, make it harder to get out or easier to get out, your preference. For me, this is perfect right now. Nope. Well, there's a little bit of rattle. It's a big knife. You could probably tighten that up if you had to, but it's just about the right tension on that sheath. And the sheaths are excellent. They're exquisitely made, nicely formed, heavy-duty Kydex, so on and so forth. Well, you have an upswept blade. You have a trailing point blade. This thing is going to be good for everything from chopping work to camp food prep to just carrying on your belt if you're out in the woods for a while as a camp knife, just about anything. The ergos on the handle, I'm going to show you some others in a minute. This is Vic's. He designed this, Vic Lynn. Other people have designed other knives for Work Tough Gear, but this is his handle of choice, and it is so comfortable. It's got a built-in guard. This one's got the choil with plenty of room for the finger if a choil is your thing. Yeah, you lose a little bit of blade, maybe a half inch or so, 3/4 of an inch of blade maybe, by having the choil in there. They don't finish the top. This is kind of ground in or buffed in after the fact, because you get a sharp shoulder on the spine for your ferro rod use, and it works extremely well with that. That would be my, packet knife in a go bag, bigger go bag, along with maybe a smaller one in a folder. I would carry 3 knives with me if I had to, get out real quick, so to speak. Hopefully I don't. But let's measure it up, or I'm just going to ramble on, wondering what to talk about next, and there really is actually plenty to talk about. And once again, the knife is too large for a 1-foot ruler, or even a, what is this? Yeah, 1-foot ruler. So we're going to get the tape out. And what the tape tells us here is we've got a 14 and 3/8 inch overall. And we have just shy of a 9-inch blade. I think they're calling it 8.8. I'll go along with that. Might even need to change scales before we're done here if it's over a pound, but we'll give it a try when we get to that. 4.8 millimeter blade and handle 23.9 millimeters. In inches, we've got a 0.18, no, what does that say, 0.19? 0.19 inch blade, not quite a 1/4 inch. And a 0.93 inch handle. For those of you that like skinny handles, it is just about right with a palm swell in the middle, and kind of tapers in near the end, and you got a nice hook similar to the bird's beaks on Filipino swords and other swords. Nice ramp for your thumb there if you want to hold it that way. So lots of holds. You can simply hammer grip it. You can get way back here if you're chopping. You can put the lanyard on. Oh yes, hidden lanyard slot or hole. Really nice the way they do that on Work Tough. Let's get the scale out and see if it'll hold up to the mass of this one. And I'm going to go straight to grams. Let's see what happens. I don't know if I got kilos on this scale. Hey, it didn't air out. So I got 425.19 grams. That would be 0.425 kilos. And in ounces, we got 14.99, call it 15 ounces. So it's just under a pound. Question always is it sharp? Well, they give you a convex ground edge, not a convex ground blade, but just the edge, which holds up kind of like an axe. But it is so much sharper than even smaller knives. I can't tell you how smooth this is. There's no drag at all. I mean, it's just insane, and they hold up. Gonna give you some compares. And guess what? They all got the same handle. Here is the, and this is an example of a tough case, tight case, that is. That's the Lanzetta, another Vic Lynn design, and oh, they've got identical jungle camo handles. Look at that. Perfectly the same. By the way, if you get aftermarket scales for this knife, you might have to, and Carroll's grips are amazing, by the way. If you get Carroll's, you might have to do a little bit of sanding on these, because what Work Tough Gear does is they don't have like prefab handles that fit all the knives. They come real close. They put them on, and then they made them up by putting them on a grinder or a buffer, what have you, to make the transition here from the spine of the blade, tang of the blade, to the handle just perfect. You can't feel anything. It's perfectly smooth. So there's the Lanzetta, kind of an interesting Copus style design with that recurve in there. You know, this is going this direction, this is going this direction, right? And one more, one of my faves, a little smaller, but with the same handle, the Elbrus. And more of a spear point blade, almost looks like it could be double ground. Kind of a bayonet grind there with a fuller down the middle. Excellent knife if you're looking for something medium large. This has got a 7-inch blade, so a bit smaller. This one has got a 8.5-inch blade. So we've got like 3/10 of an inch longer blade on this guy. These two are coming in very close. Whole different blade geometry, however. Turn this up a little so you can see the darn things. Yeah, so Elbrus and Lanzetta and the Atayal or Atayal. Not sure how that's pronounced, but that is also the name of the tribe that is indigenous to Taiwan. By the way, I think they call this their earth camo. And on some of them, they have this really interesting, now again, this is the same handle, but it's got this texture built in that feels really nice. Not too rough, but gives you a little extra traction on these blades. Do I have anything else? I think I had one for an example from another company. 1 second. So just for compare, this is a Tops knife. This is designed by, I think it's Kyle Lamb of Viking Tactics. And, you know, just to slip another larger sort of knife in there, you can see against these big boys that it is a bit smaller. I think this is called the Norseman. I know they got a few knives using the name Norse, but really beautiful vine pattern on that spine. You rarely see that from Tops. They're on a few of their knives. But smaller finger choil, different setup with the sharpening choil and so forth. Obviously, all three of the Work Tough Gear knives have the full-size choil, so it serves a double purpose as a sharpening choil and a finger choil. Well, there you have it. And I'll see if I can give you some links to some testing of these knives, some torture testing, I would call it, to a degree, on those channels I mentioned earlier. But happy to have that edition. Hope to get it out in the woods this winter maybe and see what it'll do. For now, yeah, it's pristine, and the other ones are too. Still got to get around to getting them out there. So for now, you be well. Take care. Stay safe.